The night sky of the Valari colony was shaking like a living creature. Bright lines of fire crossed the darkness as enemy ships moved closer. The Valari people were peaceful and soft-spoken, and they had never seen real war before. Their hands trembled while they watched the Dracthyr ships break through the outer defense line. The Dracthyr were famous for their cruelty. They never asked for surrender. They only destroyed. Inside the main control tower, Commander Lyra stood in front of the large hollow screen. Her voice shook when she spoke, but she tried to stay strong for her people. She ordered her team to send a distress signal to any friendly world that could hear them. But space was wide, and hope felt very far. When the signal left the tower, she whispered a small prayer, hoping someone, anyone, would answer before the Dracthyr reached the city. The signal traveled deep into the galaxy, bouncing off relay stations, crossing long-dead star routes. None of the usual allies responded. But one outdated relay made a strange choice. Instead of deleting the message, it pushed the SOS toward a forbidden coordinate. A place no one dared speak of. A place known in legend as Deathworld 3. The home of the humans. The Valari did not know this yet. They only felt fear as the Dracthyr launched another wave of fire toward the colony shield. The shield shook hard. Cracks formed on its surface like spiderwebs. Lyra's second officer reported that they had maybe 10 minutes before everything failed. Panic spread through the room. Everyone knew that once the shield fell, the Dracthyr would take the city, and no one would survive. Then something unexpected happened. A small alert blinked on the comm screen. Lyra leaned closer, unsure if it was real or just a system glitch caused by the attacks. But the alert grew brighter. It was a reply. Someone had heard their call. Before she could open the message, the whole tower vibrated. Lights flickered. The sky outside turned white for a moment. Then a strange silence followed. The Dracthyr bombardment had stopped suddenly, as if they, too, were shocked by something. Everyone in the tower ran to the windows. Behind the clouds, a massive shape appeared above the planet's atmosphere. It was not Dracthyr. It was something far larger. Something made of dark metal and burning engines. It moved slowly, as if gravity itself feared to touch it. No markings. No symbols. No known design. Only one cold signature reading through the scanners. HSS Oblivion. Lyra had never heard the name, but the sound of it made her feel colder. Her officers whispered behind her. Some said it might be a myth. Some said it might be a weapon. Others said it might be a nightmare. The ship did not send a greeting. It did not explain its purpose. It only hovered in silence above both fleets, Valari below and Dracthyr in orbit. The Dracthyr commander tried to open comms with the unknown ship, demanding its identity. But the answer that came back was not what anyone expected. Threat detected. Stand by. The voice was metallic, emotionless, and completely calm. The Dracthyr shouted back in anger, threatening the unknown ship. But no reply came. Only a loud hum filled the air as the giant vessel charged something deep within its core. The first shot came without warning. A single beam of white light shot out from the Oblivion's lower hull. It did not explode like normal weapons. It simply cut space itself and touched one of the Dracthyr cruisers. The cruiser did not burn. It vanished, sliced into two perfect halves that drifted away like broken toys. The Valari tower fell silent. Even the Dracthyr fleet hesitated, unsure if they should attack or flee. Lyra watched with wide eyes. Who were these beings? Why did they come? Had her distress signal reached monsters instead of allies? The giant ship spoke again, this time directly to the Valari. We received your call. Stay inside your shield. It was the first time the voice had sounded almost alive. Lyra tried to respond, but her throat was dry. She wondered if answering might bring danger. Still, she managed to say hello in a shaking voice. The reply came fast. Assistance arriving. Maintain distance. As they watched, small shapes dropped from the bottom of the giant ship. They fell like burning meteors, leaving long tails of fire behind them. The Volari thought they were weapons, but when the pods reached the ground, they opened, and figures stepped out. Humans. They were tall, covered in heavy black armor with glowing blue lines. Their helmets shined like glass, and their movements were slow, steady, and confident. Lyra had never seen a human before. She had only heard stories of a species born on a death world, strong enough to survive anything, dangerous enough to make empires tremble. Rumors said they only came when war needed to end. Completely. One of the armored humans looked up at the sky, scanning the Dracthyr ships. His voice echoed through his suit. Commander Vale reporting. Target confirmed. Begin operation. The Volari officers stared at them, shocked. These beings did not come to negotiate. They did not come to warn. They came to finish a war that was not theirs. Lyra felt her heart pounding. She realized the truth too late. When they sent a call for help, they did not call heroes. They called Deathworlders. And what arrived was a ship of pure destruction. The Dracthyr fleet could not believe what was happening. One moment, their cruisers dominated the skies above Volari, and the next, the massive black ship had already destroyed 3 of their largest vessels. No warning. No hesitation. The remaining Dracthyr ships tried to regroup, but panic spread like wildfire. Their pilots shouted orders, but no one knew how to fight something that moved faster than thought and struck like a storm. On the ground, the Volari watched in awe and terror. From their observation towers, they saw humans moving among the debris of their own colony's outskirts, scanning the area with strange devices that emitted soft glows. The humans were quiet. They did not run, did not panic. They moved with a purpose that made even seasoned Volari soldiers feel small and fragile. Commander Lyra's heart raced as she realized the humans' approach. Unlike the Dracthyr, they were not attacking civilians. They avoided the Volari settlements completely, taking careful paths through open fields and battle ruins. Lyra whispered to her officers. They are precise. They know what they are doing. The officers exchanged nervous looks. No one spoke about the deaths already raining down on the enemy fleet above. The Dracthyr commander grew desperate. He activated the fleet's main weapons, concentrating all fire on the Oblivion. Thousands of energy beams fired at once, a storm of destruction aimed at the unknown. Yet, the giant human ship moved like it had no mass. Each shot simply passed through harmlessly or vanished before it could hit. Sensors reported 0 damage. The Dracthyr weapons were useless. Suddenly, the Oblivion shifted. Panels of dark metal separated, revealing hidden weapon arrays that had been cloaked moments before. Streams of white energy erupted from every corner of the ship. Entire enemy formations evaporated instantly. The remaining Dracthyr cruisers tried to escape, but they were caught in a web of destruction, disintegrating in a flash. The sky glowed as if lightning had struck from every direction at once. On the ground, the humans moved toward the nearest Dracthyr forces, their armor humming with power. Volari soldiers tried to follow, but their technology seemed fragile compared to the humans' advanced gear. One human soldier raised a strange device, pointing it toward a Dracthyr tank. The machine blinked, pulsed, and in an instant, the tank's armor melted like wax in the sun. The humans did not celebrate, did not pause. They simply moved forward, scanning the battlefield, eliminating threats with calm efficiency. Commander Lyra felt both relief and fear. Relief because the humans were saving her people. Fear because she did not understand them. They were not like anyone she had ever met. They did not ask for thanks. They did not smile. They simply acted, and death followed them like a shadow. The Volari began to whisper among themselves, "Are these humans heroes, or monsters?" The Dracthyr tried one last tactic. They launched a group of suicide drones toward the humans. Explosions lit the air as the drones approached, but a single gesture from a human soldier stopped them. The soldier pressed a button on a device, and all the drones froze midair, suspended as if trapped by an invisible wall. Then, without a sound, they exploded harmlessly, leaving smoke trails that faded into the sky. Commander Vale, the human leader, finally spoke again, his voice calm but commanding. All enemy forces neutralized. Minimal collateral. Prepare for extraction. His soldiers acknowledged silently, continuing their methodical sweep of the battlefield. Lyra could only watch, unable to take her eyes off the humans. Every movement, every decision, seemed flawless, like a machine with the mind of a warrior. As the sun began to rise over the battered Volari landscape, the humans completed their mission. The Dracthyr fleet had been shattered, their ground forces destroyed. Lyra knew her people were alive, thanks to these Deathworlders. Yet she could not shake a feeling of unease. The humans had come because of a call for help, but their power was frightening. If they ever turned their attention elsewhere, no world could survive. Finally, the Oblivion's engines ignited. The ship lifted silently from the planet's surface, its enormous shadow receding into the sky. The humans boarded their pods, leaving the Volari in stunned silence. Commander Vale's voice echoed one last time through the comm systems. Threat removed. Remain safe. We will monitor. Then the humans were gone, leaving only silence and the ruins of a war that had ended in moments. Lyra looked at her officers and said softly, "They saved us, but they are not like us. And I fear we may see them again." The Volari had survived. Their colony was safe. But the legend of the Deathworlders had just begun, and the galaxy would soon learn that calling them for aid was never a small decision. It was a choice that could change the fate of worlds. The Volari colony slowly began to recover from the sudden storm of destruction. Fires burned in scattered areas, and repair crews rushed to fix shattered buildings and shield generators. Commander Lyra walked among her people, trying to assure them, but her mind could not stop thinking about the humans. They had saved the Volari, yes, but the way they moved, the way they struck, the humans were something beyond imagination. Meanwhile, high above the planet, the Dracthyr remnants scrambled to regroup. Their surviving cruisers had retreated far into space, but they were terrified. No one in their fleet had ever faced a weapon like the Oblivion. They called it a ship of pure destruction, and now the word spread quickly among Dracthyr ranks. Fear replaced arrogance. The empire that had ruled through terror was now in hiding. On the Volari surface, reports came in about the humans' strange behavior. They did not celebrate victory. They did not take trophies. Each human soldier moved calmly, scanning ruins, checking for survivors, and quietly neutralizing any lingering threats. They spoke little, only issuing short commands. Their presence was efficient, almost mechanical, yet they radiated power. Even the Volari engineers, who had built the colony's most advanced systems, could not understand the humans' technology. It was beyond anything they had ever seen. A group of young Volari soldiers approached Commander Lyra. "Ma'am," one said, "they did not even speak to us except to warn us." "Why?" Lyra shook her head. "I do not know," she admitted. "I think they operate by rules we cannot understand. They solve problems, but not like we do." She glanced toward the horizon, imagining the enormous Oblivion waiting in orbit, silent and deadly. Dracthyr forces, however, were not finished. Deep within the remnants of their fleet, an admiral sent encrypted messages to hidden outposts across the galaxy. He warned them of the humans' arrival. "Do not engage them," he wrote. "They are not like us. They kill differently. They destroy completely." Yet even as he wrote, he knew few would believe it. The stories of humans, Deathworlders, were considered myths by many. Now, those myths had become terrifying reality. Back on the Volari planet, the humans began to prepare for departure. Commander Vale's voice came again, calm but commanding. "Mission complete. Extraction in 5 minutes. Civilians must stay within safe zones." His soldiers silently moved into pods, their armor reflecting the rising sun. Lyra watched closely. She wanted to ask questions, to know why they came, why they were so powerful. But she did not dare. Humans were not friendly allies. They were a force of nature, and nature could not be bargained with. As the pods lifted, a sudden alert appeared on the Oblivion sensors. Commander Vale read the report carefully. "New threat detected," he said quietly. "The ship's AI, Cerberus, confirmed. Unknown hostile fleet approaching from Sector 12-4. Threat level, high." Vale's expression remained calm, but his tone hardened. "Prepare the Oblivion. We move immediately." The humans did not linger to rest. Their ship transformed slightly, revealing additional armor and weapon systems that had been concealed. Every sensor was online, every system active. Even in the quiet moments before departure, the humans remained vigilant. The Volari could only watch in awe and fear, realizing that the beings who had saved them could just as easily be unstoppable hunters if they ever turned elsewhere. Finally, the Oblivion jumped into faster-than-light travel, leaving the Volari planet behind. The sky cleared, leaving only smoke trails and broken silence. Commander Lyra stood among her people, her heart heavy with gratitude and unease. The humans had arrived because of a call for help, but their power was a warning. The galaxy was bigger and far more dangerous than the Volari had imagined. For a moment, everything was calm. Volari citizens began to rebuild, tending to those injured and fixing what could be saved. Yet Lyra knew that the memory of the humans would remain. The Deathworlders had arrived, ended a war in minutes, and vanished without asking for thanks. And in the quiet of the night, Lyra whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning. If they can come here, what else lies out there?" The legend of the humans, of the Deathworlders, would spread. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The first encounter was over, but a larger story had begun. A story of power, of fear, and of forces beyond comprehension. The Volari had survived, but they now understood that help sometimes comes from the most terrifying sources, and that calling on the Deathworlders changes everything. The Volari thought the worst was over, but Commander Vale knew better. From orbit, the Oblivion scanned the Dracthyr remnants carefully. Every ship, every weapon, every hidden base was logged. The humans did not just arrive to defend one planet, they were hunting a threat. Cerberus, the ship's AI, reported quietly, "Enemy activity detected beyond primary zone. Multiple coordinated fleets moving toward unprotected worlds. Estimated time to invasion, 72 hours. Vale's voice was calm, but firm. "This is bigger than Volari. We cannot leave them to continue." His soldiers, still in their black armor, nodded silently. They had learned the rules of war long ago: assess, strike, finish. Nothing else mattered. Meanwhile, the Volari watched from below. Fires still smoldered across their colony, and repair crews struggled to restore shields and communication networks. Lyra tried to focus on helping her people, but her eyes constantly drifted toward orbit. The humans had not made a sound for minutes, yet the air seemed heavy with their presence. Something about them made even seasoned Volari soldiers uneasy. They were precise. They were fast. They were unstoppable. On the ground, a small Dracthyr scouting party tried to regroup, thinking perhaps the humans had left. They underestimated them. Vale's soldiers dropped silently from pods hidden in the trees and debris. They moved like shadows, scanning the enemy for any weaknesses. When the Dracthyr spotted them, it was too late. Each strike was calculated, every enemy neutralized with minimal effort. No human hesitated. No human paused. They were a storm in human form. In orbit, the Oblivion had revealed its true potential. Panels of black metal shifted, and enormous energy arrays powered up. Vale pressed a button, and a wave of scanning beams swept the system. Dracthyr outposts lit up like candles, their signals intercepted and analyzed in seconds. Cerberus reported, "Primary enemy command located. Weapons and defenses mapped. Probability of destruction within 32 minutes, 98%. Vale nodded. "We act immediately. No mercy, no negotiation." Back on the Volari planet, Lyra struggled to comprehend the humans' behavior. They were helping, yes, but their approach was frightening. They did not just fight, they ended threats completely. Dracthyr forces were being eliminated far faster than the Volari could process. In one valley, a Dracthyr tank line tried to advance. One human soldier raised a strange device, and within moments, every tank was reduced to molten metal. The soldiers inside never had a chance to react. Vale's team moved methodically, clearing each area of hostile forces. Cerberus guided them, analyzing enemy positions and vulnerabilities. Vale spoke rarely, only to give orders, but each command was decisive. Sweep East Sector. High threat priority. Any mobile weapon platforms. Avoid civilian structures unless directly threatened. His soldiers obeyed instantly, moving with uncanny coordination, their armor reflecting the rising sun as they advanced. The Volari began to understand that this was not just a rescue. The humans were neutralizing the source of the problem entirely. Their methods were beyond anything the Volari had imagined. Precision, efficiency, and absolute control were their tools. The Dracthyr Empire had underestimated them, and now the consequences were clear. Entire fleets, entire bases, even fortified planets could vanish if the humans set their sights on them. High above, the Oblivion prepared for its next strike. Vale studied the Dracthyr command ship, the one coordinating the fleet. "Cerberus," he said. "Ready weapon arrays. Full power. Calculate optimal strike vector." The AI responded instantly, targeting complete. Probability of full elimination, 99.7%. Vale's expression was unreadable. "Execute." A massive energy beam erupted from the Oblivion, stretching across space. It struck the command ship with perfect accuracy. The Dracthyr vessel did not burn or explode in a normal way. It disintegrated at a molecular level. Debris evaporated, leaving nothing but a ghostly shimmer in the vacuum of space. On the planet below, Volari civilians watched in awe. The humans had removed the threat, but their presence left a sense of unease. They were saviors, yes, but also monsters of power beyond comprehension. Lyra felt the weight of their methods. "They end wars before they even start," she whispered. "And one day, they might decide that the whole galaxy is a threat." Vale turned to his soldiers. "Mission complete here. Prepare for departure. Cerberus, scan for new threats in neighboring systems." The AI responded, "Unknown hostile fleets detected. Multiple sectors at high risk. Shall I prepare assault protocols?" Vale nodded. "Yes. Alert all teams. The galaxy is far from safe." As the humans began to lift back into orbit, the Volari realized something important. They had survived, but their world had changed. The Deathworlders were not like anyone else they had known. They were precise. They were unstoppable. And they were watching. The first mission was over. The Dracthyr were gone, but a larger war was only beginning. The humans had shown the galaxy what it meant to be a force of absolute destruction, and the legend of the Deathworlders would spread faster than anyone could imagine. Even as the Oblivion jumped into the dark stretch of space, Vale's words echoed through the Volari comm systems one last time. "The threat is not over. We will be ready." And with that, the humans vanished from sight, leaving awe, fear, and the first whispers of a story that would change the galaxy forever. The Volari had begun to rebuild, but the galaxy was not yet calm. Reports of Dracthyr survivors fleeing to nearby systems reached Commander Vale and Cerberus. The humans did not wait. The Oblivion shifted in orbit, its massive engines glowing as it prepared for faster-than-light travel. Every weapon, every defensive system was online. Vale's soldiers readied their pods. There was no hesitation. They did not fear. They had a mission: end the war completely. As the Oblivion approached the enemy's next target system, sensors detected a massive Dracthyr fleet forming around a mining planet. Hundreds of ships, organized into attack formations, bristling with weapons and shields. Dracthyr commanders believed they could regroup and fight the humans. They were wrong. Vale scanned the fleet, calculating every weakness, every structural flaw. "Cerberus," he said, "prepare full assault. Optimal destruction paths only. Minimal civilian risk." Cerberus hummed, processing trillions of variables in seconds. All vectors ready. Probability of total fleet elimination, 99.8%. Vale nodded once. Execute. The first strike came without warning. Energy beams launched from the Oblivion's hidden arrays, slicing through enemy ships before they could even raise shields. Explosions erupted silently in the vacuum of space, as if the universe itself had been cut open. The Dracthyr fleet attempted to retaliate, firing volleys of plasma and missiles, but the Oblivion moved like a shadow, its enormous mass impossible to track. Every attack missed. Every defense failed. On the surface of the mining planet, Volari observers watched in awe. The humans were not just destroying ships, they were removing threats completely. The Oblivion's weapons were precise, cutting enemy vessels into fragments, disintegrating fleets almost before the Dracthyr could react. The sky above the planet reflected the battle, white streaks of energy flashing across space. Commander Vale deployed his ground forces next. Pods dropped silently from orbit, each containing human soldiers in black armor. They landed in the midst of Dracthyr forces on the planet's surface. One by one, human soldiers moved through enemy lines with calm efficiency. Their weapons glowed with blue energy, and each shot incapacitated targets instantly. Tanks, artillery, and heavy machines melted under the humans' fire. Not a single human faltered. The Dracthyr tried to regroup, launching their most powerful war machines against the humans. Vale raised his hand, and Cerberus activated a new protocol. Massive energy shields enveloped the humans, and automated turrets emerged from the pods, firing relentlessly. Dracthyr forces were pushed back, unable to advance. The humans moved like a storm, cleaning each sector methodically. In orbit, the Oblivion revealed its full form. Panels shifted, weapons arrays extended, and massive energy cannons powered up. The ship itself seemed alive, a predator in space, ready to consume anything in its path. Vale spoke calmly, giving orders as the ship unleashed destruction. Entire squadrons vanished, ships disintegrating before enemy sensors could even register the attack. The Dracthyr screamed through comm channels, their arrogance shattered in moments. The Volari on the surface could only stare. The humans were saviors, yes, but their power was terrifying. There was no mercy in their methods. They did not negotiate. They did not pause. Every enemy destroyed was calculated, precise, complete. Commander Lyra realized the truth. These were not allies in the way they had known allies. They were instruments of absolute war. Hours passed, though to the humans it felt like minutes. By the time the Dracthyr fleet tried to retreat, the Oblivion had already anticipated their escape routes. Energy beams blocked jump paths, automated interceptors destroyed every ship attempting to flee. Vale's soldiers on the ground secured the planet, and Cerberus confirmed total elimination of high-risk threats. Finally, the Oblivion prepared to leave. Its engines flared, and the humans lifted into orbit, leaving a silent, destroyed battlefield behind. Vale's voice echoed through comms one last time. Mission complete. No survivors of hostile intent remain. Continue monitoring neighboring systems. On the Volari planet, Commander Lyra and her people stepped out of shelters, witnessing the aftermath. The Dracthyr threat was gone, but the humans' power left them uneasy. They had survived, yes, but the memory of what they had seen would linger forever. The Deathworlders were not heroes in the usual sense. They were a force of nature. They ended wars, destroyed empires, and moved on, leaving only awe and fear. As the Oblivion disappeared into the dark stretch of space, Lyra whispered to her officers, "We are alive, but the galaxy has changed. And the humans, they are watching." The first major battle was over. The Dracthyr Empire had been shattered. But the humans' arrival was only the beginning. The legend of the Deathworlders, of the ship called Oblivion, and of soldiers who moved like shadows of war, would spread across star systems. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Volari colony slowly began to recover after the humans left. Fires had been put out, shield generators repaired, and communication lines restored. Citizens moved carefully among the ruins, still in shock from what they had witnessed. Commander Lyra walked through the streets, checking on people and offering comfort, but her thoughts kept returning to the humans. They had saved the Valari, yes, but the way they moved, the way they destroyed, there was something in them that made even the bravest soldier uneasy. From orbit, reports came in of Dracthyr survivors fleeing into nearby systems. Vale and the Oblivion had already tracked many of them, but now the humans had departed, leaving the Valari to rebuild and reflect on what had happened. The Valari realized that their colony's safety had come at a cost they could hardly measure. The humans had acted with cold efficiency. They did not hesitate. They did not ask questions. They simply ended the threat. The Valari engineers began fixing their technology, amazed at what the humans had left behind. Small devices that survived were studied carefully. Valari scientists marveled at the humans' armor, weapons, and energy systems. It was far beyond anything they had ever imagined. Some feared it, some hoped to learn from it. Lyra herself could only watch quietly, knowing that if these humans ever returned, the galaxy would face a power unlike any other. Even as the Valari worked to restore life to their colony, they heard whispers of a new threat. Scouts reported strange movements in nearby star systems. Unknown ships, much smaller than the Oblivion, but fast and organized, were being detected. Lyra felt a chill as she considered the possibility. "The humans are gone," she said to her officers, "but I do not think the danger has ended." Back in space, the Oblivion had already jumped far from the Valari system. Vale monitored new signals and analyzed data from neighboring sectors. Cerberus, the AI, reported, multiple unknown hostile fleets detected. Probability of conflict escalation, high. Vale's face remained calm. "Prepare the Oblivion," he said. "This is far from over." His soldiers, silent and precise, readied themselves for the next mission. They had ended one war, but new battles were coming. On the Valari planet, life slowly returned to a fragile normal. Children played in open fields, and markets began to reopen. But the Valari could not forget the humans' power. People whispered about them in every corner, sharing stories of the Deathworlders, the black-armored soldiers, and the giant ship called Oblivion. The legends grew fast. The humans had become more than saviors. They were warnings. Lyra met with her council to discuss the future. They needed to prepare for possible attacks from remaining Dracthyr forces and other threats in the galaxy. Their technology was improving, their shields stronger, but they still felt weak compared to what they had witnessed. "We survived," Lyra said, "but we must remember what we learned. There are forces in this galaxy far beyond our understanding." As night fell, the sky above the Valari colony was quiet. Yet distant stars blinked with signals that were impossible to track fully. Lyra gazed at them, thinking of the humans moving across the galaxy, neutralizing threats with precision. The Oblivion was gone for now, but wherever it went, new wars were starting. Somewhere, enemies were already plotting. Somewhere, the humans would find them. The Valari had survived, yes, but a new era had begun. Their world was safe for the moment, but the galaxy was vast, and other civilizations would learn the legend of the Deathworlders. The humans had left behind both hope and fear, and the Valari understood one simple truth. Calling the Deathworlders changed everything. Even as the colony slept, unknown fleets moved in the shadows, sensors blinking, engines humming. The galaxy was alive with conflict, and the humans were watching. Lyra knew it would only be a matter of time before they returned. And when they did, nothing would ever be the same. The story of the Oblivion and the Deathworlders had begun. The galaxy would soon feel the weight of a force that ended wars before they could start. The Valari were safe, but they were no longer naive. Something greater was coming, and every star system would soon learn to fear the black-armored warriors who moved like shadows of destruction. The Valari colony had begun to breathe again, but the calm was fragile. The ruins of the city stood as silent reminders of the battle that had just passed. Commander Lyra walked among her people, watching them repair homes, shield generators, and communication arrays. Yet, despite their survival, she could not shake the feeling that something greater was approaching. Far above in orbit, the stars seemed unusually bright. Sensors detected faint, irregular signals, something moving too fast for conventional tracking. Lyra's officers reported the readings to her, their voices tight with unease. "Commander," one said, "we're picking up small fleets, unknown origin. They're not Dracthyr, not like anything we've seen before." Lyra's heart sank. She knew instinctively that this was only the beginning. Meanwhile, light years away, the Oblivion moved through the void. Commander Vale studied reports from Cerberus, the ship's AI, as it analyzed multiple systems for threats. "New fleets detected," Cerberus said. "Hostile signatures consistent with coordinated attacks. Unknown origin. Probability of escalation, extreme." Vale's eyes narrowed. "Plot intercept courses. Prepare all systems for engagement. Alert squads Alpha through Omega. This war is far from over." On the Volari world, life continued in cautious normality. Children played under the watch of adults, who still feared what they had seen. The humans had removed the Dracthyr, but the shadow they left behind was longer than anyone could measure. Stories of the Deathworlders, their black armor, and the Oblivion spread quickly. They were heroes, yes, but terrifying ones. Every Volari knew now that calling the humans had saved them, but it had also opened a new chapter of fear. Suddenly, the Volari sensors picked up strange movements near their outer colonies. Small ships, fast and organized, were entering the system from deep space. They emitted energy patterns unlike anything Lyra had seen. Alarm klaxons blared across the command center. The officers scrambled to prepare defenses, but Lyra knew the humans were the only ones capable of stopping what was coming. She whispered to herself, "We may survive, but only because they are out there." Elsewhere in the galaxy, scattered Dracthyr remnants attempted to regroup, unaware that the humans had already tracked their movements. The Oblivion's AI calculated every possible escape route. Vale prepared strike teams in silent pods, each carrying black-armored soldiers who had trained for nothing but total war. "The galaxy believes it is safe," Vale said to his teams. "It is not. Prepare for immediate engagement. No hesitation. No mercy." Back on the Volari planet, Commander Lyra and her officers watched the skies. Strange lights streaked across the stars, distant and fast. Their instruments could barely keep up. For the first time, the Volari understood the scale of what they had invited into the galaxy by sending that SOS. The humans were not only saviors, they were a warning. And somewhere out there, an enemy that even the Deathworlders had not yet faced was moving toward them. The night deepened, and the Volari slept under the shadow of potential danger. Yet across space, the Oblivion moved silently, carrying a force that could end entire fleets in minutes. Vale and Cerberus worked together, planning the next strike before the enemy even knew it existed. Ships that believed themselves safe would soon learn the meaning of true power. Finally, a message reached Volari Command, brief and chilling. Translated from human comm systems, it read, "New hostile fleet detected. Threat level critical. We are monitoring. Do not engage. Stand ready." The words hung in the air. Lyra felt a shiver run down her spine. The humans were gone, but their presence was still the most powerful thing in the galaxy. Stars twinkled quietly above, but somewhere in the darkness, fleets moved with deadly purpose. The humans were watching. They were waiting. And the galaxy would soon understand that calling the Deathworlders once changed everything forever. As the Volari looked to the heavens, Lyra whispered to her people, "We are safe, for now. But the galaxy is bigger, and far more dangerous than we ever imagined. And the humans, they are always coming." The Oblivion and its black-armored warriors had vanished into the void, but their legend had begun. New wars, new threats, and new battles awaited. The story of the Deathworlders was far from over. And somewhere, deep in the darkness of space, the next enemy stirred, unaware that the most dangerous force in the galaxy was already hunting them. The galaxy had survived one storm, but the next one was coming. And when it arrived, nothing would ever be the same again.